Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sideline Shenanigans podcast today with Jacob Maggardin.
Poppy.
And of course, if you've been here, you know what we do to start it out. But we're obviously going to draft a one-round mock here, closing in on draft season. We're with less than a month away now from the first round, which I mean that's the most exciting time. Now we start figuring some things out. A little bit more rumors come out. Maybe some of these teams maybe look to make a pre-draft trade to move a pick or something like that, move a player potentially. We could see that happen. And then, of course, today we're going to be doing no trades and not a second rounder. This is going to be one round total, and it's going to be what me and Hoppy think is the most likely scenario. We kind of went off the book a little bit for the last couple weeks, picking some crazy things to happen. Now we're going to go back to what we think will happen, and then we'll do one more like this right before the draft with what we will, think will happen. Of course, if you guys are watching, please like, subscribe, follow along, stick with us. Of course, we put the effort in to film them. We love it. It's super fun. It'd be awesome to gain a following off this and have some people coming back and watching. Had some pretty good views on a lot of our stuff. The baseball stuff started kicking up. The first one actually did pretty good, quickly, and then the second one it was later. It didn't. It just didn't work out. But I'm hoping to down the road release more of that stuff separate from each other. We just kind of pushed it all in together to get it out before the season started. Um, so we'll dive in here at pick number one. Obviously, my Titans on the board, and it seems that the draft pick has pretty much been made, and it's going to be Cam Ward. There's been a lot of talk about his ability as a player. It's drastically improved the draft stock of him as a player going into his pro day, where he was really, really good. He missed a total of like 5 throws on 57 attempts. Was really hitting every single pass. Xavier Restrepo is a guy that probably didn't help himself out at his pro day, running in the 4.7s and 4.8s. Said he pulled his hamstring before he ran, so if that is the case, then that makes a little bit more sense. But man, a receiver running a 4.7, 4.8 is definitely not going to help him out. That's as slow as most of the tight ends. But he is an elite threat still when he gets the ball in his hand and can make those yak type plays. So we saw some of those things happen at the pro day for Cam Ward. And again, if I picked in the second round, that's probably where I'd go. But I love Cam Ward at one. I think he has all the potential to be a franchise quarterback. We just have to unlock the ability.
All right, I'm going to be going number two here with the Cleveland Browns. This is a team that can use a lot of help, but I think that they're most likely to go out and get Travis Hunter. I mean, I hope he can come out there and finally be a good early pick for these Browns. A lot of guys with a lot of talent have went there, and then the talent just hasn't shown up. But I think Travis Hunter is the type of talent that just, can't be hid. He should show out for this team.
Yeah, and of course, Travis Hunter has the ability to play a very good offensive side of the ball, being one of the elite receivers in college football, as well as one of the best corners in college football, and can bring that to the NFL. Where I think, to me, I think that's his most successful position. But there's some guys like Daniel Jeremiah, who's a big time draft analyst, who believes that Travis Hunter is going to be the best receiver in this class. Thinks he's the most ability at receiver. Thinks he'll play most of the snaps at receiver. So if that's the case. The Browns can again use either receiver or corner. I mean, you're looking at their needs, and both of those are listed. So Travis Hunter is just a perfect pick for them. Moving into number three with the Giants, I'm straying away from Shador Sanders. I think that he, to me, has fallen down the draft board. As you can see on PFF, he's dropped outside their top 10. For a little while, they had him up here in the 7, 8 range, going in the first round, still going to one of these top teams that need a quarterback. I think he's not done a lot for himself. Apparently, he had some pretty unsuccessful interviews with teams. Some of the rumors coming from that he may be doing that just to not go there. Because there is definitely that he doesn't want to play for some of these teams. And I just think that the Giants are going to stick with what I think is the best player in this draft, and Abdul Carter at 3. If you're getting the best player in the draft at pick 3, that's a steal. I mean, it really is. If he turns out to be that generational edge rusher with the ability to come off the edge and rush the passer, I think that it makes a lot of sense for the Giants to address. And I know they've addressed this issue, going out and trading for a big time guy in Burns. They went and drafted Kayvon Thibodeau in the draft, and he's just been kind of a failure up to this point. And you just go get Abdul, and you just add to the outside the edge rush, which is the most important position on the defense to get after that quarterback.
Yeah, and you made the next pick for me even easier. I mean, number four, we all know the Patriots want to go out there and get Will Campbell. The last 2 weeks, we went away from that just to, show some other options that they could pick. But it's right back to Will Campbell here, especially if Abdul Carter is already taken, especially if the cornerback is already taken, the hybrid cornerback wide receiver. they're going Will Campbell if those two guys are gone.
Yeah, and of course, Will Campbell, now being officially listed as tackle on the system, he's kind of shifted between just having an O-line stamped next to his name and having a guard stamped to his name and then a tackle. It's kind of switched up here and there. They believe that if he's drafted this high, he will stick and play tackle, which is a more valuable position, and the Patriots need that. They need tackle help. They need to protect their long-term franchise quarterback in Drake May. Moving to number five with the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is a team that I think can very easily address the receiver position. I think that they can very easily address the interior defensive line position. That is two of the biggest needs for this football team. And you're looking at two guys in Tetairoa McMillan and Mason Graham that would fit those needs. I just think that Mason Graham is blue chip. I think that Tetairoa is a great receiver, but I don't think he separates himself a ton from the rest of those guys at the receiver position. Mason Graham does. I think he is unbelievable as an interior defensive lineman. I think clear and like obvious that he's the best in this class. Makes a ton of sense for the Jaguars at pick five.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think that's a great choice for the Jaguars. We've seen him go there a few times, and it's good to see him go there again. And I'm going to be taking number six here with the Raiders. And I think there's two options here that make a lot of sense. You either go receiver or you go with the running back. And if I'm thinking purely just which one I think's more likely, I think Tetairoa McMillan is more likely for this team. I know they've been linked to Genty a lot, but I just think they're going to be a little bit scared to spend that type of capital on a running back. Stick with the receiver. I think it's a good fit with this team as well.
Yeah, and they need an X receiver. They don't have a single receiver on this roster that is considered that outside X guy that can be a superstar. And Tetairoa definitely has the potential. Again, this is a guy that's listed 6'4" to 6'5", depending on where you look. He is going to run a pretty good speed, and I'm assuming these teams know that. He didn't run, obviously, at the combine. And then his contested catch ability is probably some of the best we've seen in the NFL, or in college, I should say. And coming into the NFL, can he bring that trait to become the X guy on the outside? I do think Genty still makes a ton of sense to that team. I think that that's very easily another option, like you said. That's the one of the two that makes so much sense. And if they don't go one of those two players, it's going to be like, well, why didn't they? Because they're just both available at this point in most of our drafts. But I like the receiver at number six. Moving on to number seven with the Jets. This is a team that we could see very easily slide in and take Shedeur Sanders, although they did sign Fields in the offseason to come in and be their quarterback, getting paid $20 million a year for 2 years. So it's not a long-term contract. You'd have Shedeur playing underneath Fields. Maybe Fields can teach him a little bit more about escapability out of the pocket and creating plays. And I think that that's a situation that the Jets would look at and say we kind of like. I think that the New York market makes a lot of sense, and I'm going to go Shedeur Sanders. Again, I think he's a player that can easily fall down this board. If he doesn't get picked at seven, there's a real chance he free falls all the way down to maybe the Steelers at 21 and can even go farther than that. But I think that maybe the hype has died down a lot, but he's still a great player. I think he still has a lot of potential. So again, Shedeur Sanders to me is the pick here at number seven with the Jets.
I'm going to be picking here number eight with the Carolina Panthers, a team very close to my home state in Virginia. So this pick means a lot to me, and I'm just going to go out there and take the guy with the most potential, Shamar Stewart. We've picked him here on this team several times. I just think it's a good pick for the Panthers, a team that, they're not expected to win next year. So why not go out there and get the guy that could be that superstar rather than trying to add a key piece to help you win next year?
Yeah, and of course, we've mentioned it many times. The potential is unlimited for him. He is a player that has shown the freakish athleticism that could turn into one of those superstar edge rushers. And I think that, again, that makes a lot of sense for the Panthers. Like you said, they're not going to be winning a lot of games next year unless they really figure some things out. So why not get the guy that could come in and be that guy? But also, he has the ability to sit there and develop as a player. I think that they would like that a lot. At number nine with the Saints, another team that can use edge rush help, they can use interior defensive line help. And I think if they were looking to go running back, which I don't think they will, I think that Kamara's still there. I know he's aging, he's towards the end of his contract, he still never had a 1,000-yard season, so Genty's definitely potential. But I just think Genty doesn't go here. I'm going to end up going back to back with edge rushers, and I'm going to go out and grab a guy in Mykel Williams from Georgia, who we've had to fall a little bit farther down, going to like the Falcons. And I think he still has a ton of potential to be the second edge off the board behind Abdul Carter. I like Mykel Williams at nine to the Saints.
Well, I'm picking number 10 here with the Chicago Bears, and this is a team that, they're looking to make some noise this year and get some offensive help for their young quarterback, Caleb Williams. I think a guy like Ashton Genty can definitely help him out in the offensive side of the ball, get him some more first downs, have the defense thinking run rather than thinking pass, pass, pass all the time.
Yeah, and again, it's a roster that needs talent in positions. They went out and got those receivers last year. We saw Keenan Allen. He appears to be going down the hill at this point in his career. We definitely saw a lot of really good seasons out of him, but last year was not one of those. DJ Moore had a pretty good year last year at receiver, so they did get those weapons on the outside. Of course, you're looking forward to Odunze potentially popping off at some point in his career.
Yeah, a lot of people still have a lot of hope for Roma Dunze, and I'm one of them. I think he can still do a lot for this team.
Yeah, and of course, those weapons are what makes a rookie quarterback better. You know, it can really help him out. That and offensive linemen. What do? They address the offensive line via the trade and via free agency. So now you address that last need on the offense, which is that superstar running back. And of course, Ben Johnson, he coached Jahmyr Gibbs. He coached David Montgomery. He's coached dynamic, great running backs. It just makes sense for him to go out and grab the best one in this draft class. At number 11, with the San Francisco 49ers, a team that can use a multitude of things. That offensive line is really hurting. And I'm going to go with Armand Mimbu, a guy that has really boosted up his draft stock a ton in this draft process. Of course, really performing at the combine, running under the 5 second 40, which is really impressive for as big of an offensive lineman as he is. Measured out with pretty good long arms, close to the 34 inches, anyways, that you want in the NFL. So I think he sticks there at tackle and plays. If they don't want him at tackle, he can move in and guard. He is really dynamic as a player. He's quick, and he's very powerful. I love Amar Mimbu at number 11.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot too. We've had him go as high as 4 in our mock draft, so I think that's a steal for the 49ers there. Anyways, I'll be picking number 12 here with the Cowboys, and this is a team that I'm actually hoping gets Ashton Genty. I'm far from a Cowboys fan, but my wife is, and I just like to see them get another good running back on that team for some reason. It's normally good for fantasy and everything like that. But unfortunately, Genty has already been taken. Mimbu, another decent option, taken from us. So I'm going to stick here on the defensive side of the ball and take Mike Green out of Marshall. Think he can come in there and give them some edge help on the other side of their edge.
Yeah, of course, Micah Parsons dominating off one side of the ball. They don't have anything else. The pressure really is non-existent. They lost to Marcus Lawrence in the offseason, who had some pretty big beef on the internet with Micah Parsons, saying that if you didn't take all that money, I'd have stuck around. So if they would have paid me, I'd been there too. They now have to address the edge rush position, and you're going out and getting a guy in Mike Green who produced at the highest level in college. We've said it time and time again. If you want production, you want Mike Green. I mean, 17 and a half sacks, did it against really high quality opponents at times too. A very, very good player. I mean, again, to do that in a 12 to 13 game season, that means he's sacking you more than once a game, and he's coming off the edge like a heat-seeking missile. I love Mike Green. Great player at 12 for the Dallas Cowboys. At number 13, with the Dolphins. This is a team that now is rumored again to be looking to trade Tyreek Hill. He has addressed some things on Twitter saying, I want out of here. I don't want to play here next year. They could go receiver. Now, there's a couple guys that would make a little bit of sense at this point in time. A guy like Luther Burden, potentially a guy like Matthew Golden. I'm going to stay away from that and say, heck, maybe they just can't deal Tyreek Hill. Maybe they just can't find the value because, again, he's a hard player to trade. You want a lot back in return because of what he can be, but at the same time, last season he was kind of a diva. There was times where he just didn't play football. There was times where it didn't look like he was trying as hard on the field, and of course he underperformed when Tua wasn't there. So it's an interesting situation. What is most important for this football team is keeping Tua on the field. If he's not on the field, it's really not a good football team. He really does change things for them, and I don't know all of its talent for Tua. I just think that he's far better than any backup option that they have. So I'm going to go out and grab Kelvin Banks Jr. from Texas, a guy to me that has been up and down in the draft process. There was rumors he could go as the top offensive lineman, but now we see him maybe shift down to guard. They need both guard and tackle, so Kelvin Banks makes a ton of sense at pick 13.
Yeah, I'll be taking pick number 14 here with the Colts, and I think this is one of the easier picks to pick here. When I close my eyes and I think of Tyler Warren, I see him in a Colts jersey. So that's who I'm going to take here for the
Yeah,
Colts. I think they really like this guy a lot. Everything I've heard out of the Colts has been, we like this guy, so that's who they're probably going to take.
yeah, and of course you look at the colors he wore in college, blue and white. and it's a darker blue and a white. What's he going to be wearing in the NFL? Blue and white. It's going to be the Indianapolis Colts. I think that you can almost stamp that in. If he isn't taken higher, he is going at 14 if he's available. The only other route I could see them taking is going out and grabbing a safety, but they signed a safety in free agency, so I don't think it's the biggest need anymore. And Tyler Warren is way too good to not get picked by a team that desperately needs a tight end to start performing, especially when you have a quarterback who's struggling as much as Anthony Richardson has at times. A tight end can really help a quarterback out, so it makes a lot of sense at pick 14. At pick number 15 with the Atlanta Falcons, a team that in 4 years under Terry Fontenot hasn't taken a single defensive player. He has been all offense. It's been quarterback, running back, receiver. He goes everywhere but defense. I think he finally has to address defense. It's such a pressing need. This is a defensive unit that didn't play very well last year at times. They've struggled a lot, and you've got a ton of very, very talented edge rushers. And what I'm specifically looking at is a guy listed as a linebacker in Jalen Walker. Again, this is a guy that's going to shift down to the edge, play the edge rusher position where he was productive in college at times. He's going to have really good speed coming off the edge, not the best size, but they can kind of put size on him. You can't teach speed. That's something that just comes with a guy, and if he's got it, he's got it. Jalen Walker has that ability. I love Jalen Walker to the Falcons, and he gets to stay in Georgia.
Yeah, I was about to say that too. He's going to get to stay in Georgia and keep playing in the warm weather. But anyways, the Arizona Cardinals at pick 16. I'm looking at their lineup, and they desperately need to keep their quarterback healthy. And I've called this the best pick. How many times at the end of videos I have to stay true if we're doing what pick I think they will take. I'm doing Josh Simmons, the best O lineman in the draft. Probably will play guard if he's picked by this team, but he could play either one in the NFL, in my opinion.
Yeah, and again, this is a guy that can play that tackle position too. They could shift a tackle down. This is a guy that has potential to be the best. Like you said, he was in that conversation with Will Campbell, with Armand Mimbu, with Kelvin Banks. The injury is a serious one. That is something that will scare you off of him, but it's not, career ending. He isn't going to lose his career based on this injury, whereas a guy like Savon Ravel, who we've talked about a couple times, his career could change due to his injury. I like Josh Simmons a ton. Like you said, his potential is literally through the roof. You get him at 16, and you get to protect your quarterback. That is the most important position on the field. You got to keep him up. You have to keep him healthy. Picking at number 17 with the Cincinnati Bengals, a team that desperately needs defensive help. I mean, they are struggling on defense week in and week out. And I'm going to go with an interior defensive lineman with this pick. I think that if they lose Hendrickson off the edge via trade, that could be a pick here. But I'm going to stick and say that they go on the interior. Rumor is that they've been trying to work with Hendrickson, offering him a new contract, trying to give him a lot of money. Please stay around. We really need you. I'm going to go on the interior and grab a guy in Kenneth Grant, who we've had go down the board at times, falling past the top 25. I'm going to have him today jumping all the way up to 17. And again, I think he's proven this. I think he's definitely got the ability to be the 17th overall pick. And I think the Bengals really like that at pick 17.
Yeah, I'm going to be on the clock here at number 18, picking for the Seattle Seahawks. And I look at this draft, there's only one elite linebacker, and this team needs a linebacker. So why not go ahead and take that Jahad Campbell pick here in the first round? And then later on in the draft, they can target a few different O linemen deeper into the draft and go ahead and get the one true linebacker that has separated himself from the rest of the pack.
Yeah, again, a dominant middle linebacker. He is a superstar type of player. He showed off at the combine. He was really impressive there. I think he only helped himself out. And of course, if they needed him to, he's a guy that can shift down and play the edge at times. Again, I do not think that that's the best way to use him as a player, but he has the ability. He did it at Alabama. He would come off the edge, sack the quarterback here and there. But again, I think he's just so dynamic as a player. I love Jahad Campbell at 18 to the Seahawks. Picking at number 19 with Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a team that it's the easiest decision ever, and it's which edge rusher do you want? They have to find edge rush talent. I'm going to go off the fact that James Pierce Jr. is going to keep falling. I think that these rumors that have sparked up at the beginning of the draft process saying he's uncoachable, I think that those are going to hurt him. That is definitely something teams look at. If you bring a guy into your system that it hurts the all-around unit, then no matter how talented he is, it's not a good thing. I've seen a guy in Donovan Ezeraku rise up draft boards. Again, the production in college was elite. I think he performed well at the combine in the things that he participated in. I'm going to be kind of high on him here, but I think Donovan Ezeraku has all the potential in the world. And I think if Mike Green is gone, which is a pick we went with a million times here, they go Ezeraku. And again, just another production stud in college.
All right, I'm on the clock number 20 here with my favorite team, the Denver Broncos. And I mean, I really hope that Genty can fall to us at 20. I know it's unlikely, but personally, that's the guy who I want out of this draft. I look at the board of who I have left to choose here. Who do I think we need to take? First off, I think James Pierce would be great on our team. I think this is a team that he could step in, even if he didn't really take it too serious. I think we have an identity. I don't think that he would mess up the other players in our locker room, and I think that he could still have an impact on our team. I'm not going to take him, even though I would think he would help. For me here, it's either Luther Burden or we go running back and take Omarion Hampton. I'm wishy-washy on those two. I change my mind every other day, but for this specific draft, I'm going to take Hampton. I'm going to take Hampton because I think that that is the guy. I'm tired of seeing no running back production out of this team. We need to get us a running back.
Yeah, and Marion Hampton is a superstar. He really is. He is talented enough to be picked inside the top 20, no doubt. We've seen him rise all the way up the PFF boards. If you remember when we very first started these mock drafts, he was sitting in that 40 to 50 range. They've got him ranked all the way up at 24 now. So they do expect him to go in this first round. I think the Broncos are a team that desperately needs a running back. Like you said, it is one of the biggest needs for any of the football teams in this range from, 15 to 30. Again, I think that he is that talented of a player. I like what you said about the potential with James Pierce. He wouldn't have to play all the time because Denver already has a really good rush attack. So he wouldn't have to be this superstar that takes everything serious all the time. And maybe they could coach him. Sean Payton is a elite old coach that has been in the league and done that and seen guys that don't want to participate and can make them participate. So again, that could make some sense. But again, I just think it's not the need that they will address as running back is desperate at 20. At 21, with the Pittsburgh Steelers, this is a team that has went out and addressed the receiver position, adding in DK Metcalf, who is, one of the best receivers in football, one of the best outside receivers especially. This is a team that took Roman Wilson last year, and I think they could go slot receiver, but I think they're going to hope that he can show up this year. Did have kind of a rough year last year, not participating in a lot of things. They did lose their tackle in free agency. Dan Moore, I think that they've kind of had a revolving door at tackle. I think they're going to end up going with a tackle. I'm going to go Josh Connerly here. I think that this is a team that can use that again. They have to protect whoever the quarterback is. If it's an older guy, and Aaron Rodgers, who is still rumored to go there, if he gets hurt again, then you're just not. You didn't have a quarterback on the football team. That's not Mason Rudolph, who did come back, and of course. I just think it makes a lot of sense. Again, when you lose your left tackle, it's again been a revolving door. You've got to find somebody that can play that position. Bring in Josh Connerly. Hope he is the answer at left tackle.
Yeah, I like what you said about old Mason Rudolph. If Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, it scares me seeing Aaron Rodgers on this team. It really does. It scares me seeing him play for anybody. But I'll be going here number 22 with the Chargers, and I think the pick here is pretty easy. I'm going Colston Loveland. He's the best receiving tight end in the draft, in my opinion. He lined up in the slot some in college. I learned that from Jacob over there. So he's a great receiving tight end. I mean, part of me wishes the Broncos, as excited as I am for Evan Ingram, part of me wishes we were still taking him at 20.
Yeah, and of course, Evan Ingram did fill that need. It was his position we went with a lot. I mean, Colson Lovin was very rumored to go there. We have filled the need for your team with Evan Ingram. Colson Lovin makes way too much sense. I mean, this is a Michigan guy, won a championship with Harbaugh in college. Harbaugh has talked glowingly about him, saying this is a guy that really will come in and produce for us. He is a very, very good receiving threat. In college, if you watched any of the games for Michigan last year, they were horrible on offense at times, passing the football especially. He wasn't. He was a bright spot every week in the stat book. You looked in there and you said, wow, Colston Loveland again goes for 80 to 100 yards in an offense that throws for 80 to 100 yards. I mean, that's what they did every week was just how many catches did Colston Loveland have? That was your offense. Again, I love him as a player. Harbaugh loves him as a player. And I think Justin Herbert is going to love him as a player. At 23 with the Green Bay Packers, a team to me that it's super easy. They look at receiver, I think. Josh Jacobs, of course, saying we don't have an X receiver, we need one. That is something that definitely sounds pretty bad coming from a player that is on the football team. But corner is just to me a little more pressing at this time. I think Matthew Golden can go here. He is an X receiver. He's a guy on the outside that could be the number one. Again, that's not the Luther Burden or the Emeka Ibuka. But today I'm just going to go Jahdae Barron. This is a guy that won the Thorpe Award in college. He is way better than just a slot cornerback, which was something that people thought he was going to be. Going out running a 4.39 in the combine proved he could stick with receivers on the outside. I love Jahdae Barron a whole lot. Again, it just makes way too much sense at pick 23 to address that position.
And I think I'm going to go in here at number 24 for the Minnesota Vikings and do a similar thing. I mean, I like the offensive side of the ball for them. I think they can get a running back in the second round, so I'm going to go out here and take Will Johnson. I mean, back-to-back cornerback picks. I don't know if we've seen that yet in these drafts or not.
Yeah, and again, Will Johnson is a guy that at certain points of this draft process was literally a 11 to 10, and some people had him in that top 10. He's fallen. He had very short arms. Again, that will hurt him a little bit, especially if you want to be an outside man-to-man corner. That's something that, again, it hurts. It really does. And I think that he still has all the ability in the world. Again, I think he's a good player. He was great in college, but he also faced an injury. So that does make him fall down the board a little bit. Jade's great combine to me just pushed him a little bit ahead of him. We have two corners, like you said, going back to back, and they're both guys that can be difference makers in the NFL. At pick 25 with the Texans, this is a team that their offensive line is ugly. I mean, it really is. They traded away their best pass blocker from the left tackle position, and Stroud was already running for his life last year. So if you don't go out and address the offensive line, I just think you're going to get him killed back there. You look at this line draft, you look at the board available, and there isn't a lot. I think that this is a team that would love to either trade up to grab one of the great offensive tackles or move back down and get a guy like a Donovan Jackson or an Ariante Ursary later in the draft because Gray Zabel is not going to be sticking at offensive tackle, only working guard and center at the Senior Bowl. That's the issue. I want to go tackle. I think it's the biggest need, but at 25, it just doesn't make sense. These players are not graded out to be that kind of pick. I also don't think that they are that kind of talent. So I'm going to go and I'm going to grab a guy in the slot receiver position in Luther Burden. This is a team that lost their slot receiver, and he's done for at least this year. Unfortunately, it's an injury that could last longer than that. Tank Dell was a phenomenal player that was having a really good start to his young career and tears everything in his knee. I mean, he tore his MCL, ACL, and meniscus. That is an injury that will take a very, very long time to recover from. It's also an injury that a player could possibly not recover from, which is really scary and sad for him. Again, a great player that a lot of people liked. They go out and get Luther Burden. He can play the slot receiver position and be very, very good at it. And if Tank Dell is able to come back in maybe a year and a half, Luther Burden has potential to move to the outside. He can still play the outside X receiver position. And again, me as a Titans fan, I so badly want Luther Burden in the second round. I mean, if somehow this guy drops, because I think he has the potential to be at the top of this board, and I don't know why, but NFL teams just aren't as high on him as I am. I think it's an amazing pick for the Texans at pick 25.
All right, I'm on the clock here, number 26 with the Los Angeles Rams, and I'm looking at this team, man. I'd really like to take an offensive lineman, like Jacob just said earlier, with the Texans just last pick. But like he said, there's not too many good tackles left, and I'm not too interested in taking a guard or a center. So here I'm going to go with Nick Emmanwori, take the most talented guy left in the draft. Hopefully he can come in, make an impact, and hopefully this team walks away with another Super Bowl ring at the end of the year.
Yeah, and again, Nick Emmanwori has all the potential in the world. He really is one of those guys that just absolutely performed at the combine, which was really, really great for him. I mean, he put his name on the map as a first round pick, whereas at times he may have not been that. And that definitely is a good spot for him. A Rams team that needs secondary help, he can definitely come in and do that immediately. Looking at number 27 with the Ravens, this is a team that I think either goes edge rusher or they go with a DB, including safeties or corners. You're looking at a guy in Malachi Starks, still available on the board, ultra talented guy that has had some, recent falls down the board due to maybe not the greatest combine performance and maybe not the best season ever. Again, this is a guy that was definitely considered a top 20 pick prior to the season and combine performances. I think that the Ravens can use a guy like him. I think that they could pick him and put him in the safety position opposite of Hamilton and allow him to do that. And I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go with Malachi Starks. Again, the talent is definitely unbelievable. What he did 2 years ago was just great, honestly. One of the best safeties we've seen in college. So the Ravens get a steal here and what can be that super high potential guy still, and just comes in and immediately makes an impact for them.
All right, I'll be taking here number 28 with the Detroit Lions. You talk about a team that is fun to watch, a good team. I like to draft their players in fantasy football a lot. And in this particular draft, I'm going to take a defensive piece for them. They got all the offense in the world, so they're going to have to get a defender here. And I'm going to take James Pierce Jr. You're looking at him on this site ranked, as a steal, 15th rank, getting picked at 28. So they're saying it's a steal.
Yeah, and again, that is the potential. That is the ability. That is what he was. Again, this is a guy that was ranked as the number one overall player on the draft class before the season started in college football. That's how good he is. These rumors of him being uncoachable is an issue, and it's a massive issue, of course. That's why he's dropped to 28 in this draft, and we haven't had him going inside our top 10 yet, which is what he had the potential to be. The rumors just coming out are really, really constant. He's not going there. That's what they all say. I think that the team definitely can still take the shot on him because the ability is definitely there. This is a team that could coach that out of him. Dan Campbell is an awesome head coach. He's really, really great. I think that he could be that hard-nosed guy that finally just gets to Pierce, forces him into just complying with the team at least, not being an issue in the locker room. And again, it's just an awesome person to add, opposite of Aiden Hutchinson rushing the quarterback. At number 29, with the Washington Commanders, a team that could very easily go with an edge rusher or a corner. I think that the edge rushers left are very, very good. Nick Scordon is an awesome player. There's some other edge rushers left on the board that are very talented. But I'm going to go with the cornerback, and I'm going to go with a guy that was a combine guy that really put his name on the map in Maxwell Hairston. This is a guy that can run with anybody in the NFL. He's that fast, ran a 4.28 the combine, was an unbelievable speed, the fastest player there. And it just makes a ton of sense. They go out and add a guy that can cover the other team's best players. And this is a team that they had struggles at stopping the Eagles in scoring in the playoff. If you remember, it was a 50-point game for the Eagles. You have Maxwell Harrison, you can throw him on Devontae Smith and maybe hopefully lock him up and then just figure out how to stop A.J. Brown. Again, I love the pick for the Commanders at 29.
Yeah, I really like that pick as well, man. The Commanders are a great young team. I hope that guy could come in and maybe help them here. Anyways, I'm going to be taking number 30 with the Buffalo Bills here. And we've seen over and over again in our mock drafts, the Buffalo Bills go with receiver, receiver, receiver. But I'm going to take a guy in this draft. They have a lot of young receivers already, and no, they haven't been great so far, but, maybe they still want to try to give them another year. And despite them not being great so far, this offense has still been really good. I mean, the offense still really hadn't been the problem. So I'm going to take Nick Scorton. You mentioned him earlier a few seconds ago, actually. And I think he's a good guy as well, and that's who I'm going to take for the Bills.
Yeah, and this is what you need. You have to get after the quarterback. You have to get after Mahomes. You can't beat them because he sits back there and picks you apart every time you play him. And in this last season, they had their best chance, in my opinion. And Josh Allen wasn't able to lead them down the field and get that win. There was a couple things that were his fault, but there was also a couple things that were their fault. They shouldn't have let Mahomes, go up and down the field as they did at times. But this Chiefs team was vulnerable, as we saw in the playoff in the Super Bowl. They got blown out. I mean, they were a vulnerable football team. If you had an edge rusher that could really get after him, you could have done that. I think Nick Scordon is that guy that has the ability to do that. The Bills go out and add a huge defensive piece at number 30.
All right, I'm back on the clock here, number 31 with the Kansas City Chiefs, and this is a team that's really looking to get some offensive line help. But in this draft, I don't think that's where they're going to go here, at least not in the first round. I think they will target that at some point in this draft. But here I'm seeing Walter Nolan, a defensive stud, sitting on the board. I think this team can use some interior D line help as well, so that's what I'm going to take for 'em.
Yeah, and again, of course, they have Chris Jones, a guy that is an unbelievable defensive lineman. But what else do they have on that roster that is really pressuring quarterbacks? It's not very good. You can go out and get a guy that is very talented in Walter Nolan, who has pass rush ability. If Chris Jones is that big time run stopper with the pass rush ability, Walter takes that part of his book and says, I got it, I'll do that. And maybe Chris can help him out on those, run blocking or run stopping ability. He's not a massive defensive lineman. He is so shifty, though. I mean, just unbelievable at getting to the quarterback. I love the pick for the Chiefs, which I hate because I don't like the Chiefs. But again, Walter Nolan could be a difference maker. This is a team, watch out, we're not doing trades today, that can either move down to build up draft stock to go out and grab offensive linemen or certainly could move up. There's a lot of teams that can move down. The Steelers, if they don't get their quarterback, Look at that spot. I mean, it's literally we went Connerly there. That's probably the guy they would trade up and get. They could move up with the Vikings and try to go out and get another tackle or a guy. They could move even higher maybe. That they want to compete and try to win. I think tackle is the biggest need on the outside, but it just isn't available at pick 31. So defensive line makes a ton of sense. At 32 with the Philadelphia Eagles, a team that ends up getting a steal every single time we draft one of these. They've needed edge rush help. They lost one of their better guys. They could use maybe another defensive lineman. That's a very strong unit on the interior, though. I don't think they add there. And you're looking at receivers. Now, this is interesting because this is a team that already has A.J. Brown, a team that already has Devontae Smith. That is your slot receiver and your outside receiver. And honestly, Devontae can play either and do both things. Do they maybe go with Matthew Golden? Do they maybe go with a guy that could be this steal at 32? I mean, Matthew Golden can go as high as pick 11 or pick 12 to the Cowboys, I think. He could be the second best receiver in the class. I think there's also the potential of him dropping. I mean, teams can look at what he did in college. He didn't produce at a super high level, but again, the combine was phenomenal, and combines can get you picked. All that being said, I'm going to end up going and addressing the edge rush position. I just think that the guys that are left on the board here are obviously guys they could grab in the second round. Some of these dudes will fall potentially. We're not able to trade back. We're not able to trade up. This is a no trade mock. I think Landon Jackson had a phenomenal combine day, but to me, I just like Princely Mielen a little bit better. I think he has first round potential. Again, Mielen is a good football player. If you watched him at times with Ole Miss, he made a difference all the time. Again, this is an edge rushing threat, and we got two Ole Miss guys coming off back to back there at the end. An Ole Miss defense that was better than it had been in a long time. That was due to Walter Nolan, and of course, the guy we're picking at 32 in Princely Mielen. That's it for our draft. We've made all 32 picks. Hoppy, now we're looking at the big board. Who's your favorite picks here in this draft?
Yeah, I really like Nick Scorton going to the Bills. I mean, it just recently kind of clicked in my head. Like we keep picking receiver, receiver, receiver for them, and I just thought, maybe it's time for them to go the other route and try to beat the Chiefs not at their own game. And then I really would be excited to see the Broncos get any offensive piece. I'm very excited to see how Bo Nix will do in his second year, and I think Ingram and Hampton will do a lot to help him. When he's getting pressured, having a tight end and a running back that can catch the ball will really help him. And then I like Shador Sanders, like I've said in the past, on the Jets. I think that's a good team for him to go to out of all the teams, even though I'm not his biggest fan, quite like you are either. But yeah, those are some of my favorite picks in this draft.
Of course, I'm going to spout on about Cam Ward at one. I think that I've been very vocal that Abdul Carter is my favorite player in the class. But if you're taking quarterback, Cam Ward does have the potential. He really does. The sky is, what he can reach to. He could be that guy. I think that this recent resurgence of Cam Ward media talking about how the Titans sent like 10 of their officials to his pro day. We had by far the most people at his pro day. Every single major source is reporting the Titans are now asking for 3 first-round picks. So they saw something that they loved at that pro day. And again, Cam Ward, if you're talking about a team that needs a quarterback, they went out and signed 2 old veteran quarterbacks. That to me, again, signifies Will Levis might be getting traded because we're going to draft Cam Ward. Now, in another sense, you look down the board a little bit and the team with the Jets, who you just said, Shador Sanders. They took the other quarterback that has been rumored to go inside the top, first round of this draft. He is to me just not a super talented player. I wouldn't love him at one, especially. I think he's got a very high floor, though, so he has potential to be a good quarterback. I love the situation. Like you said, it's good. He can go in and sit behind Justin Fields, who's had success at times. Other times have been kind of rough. He's been through the ups and downs. He can teach Shador how to handle those situations, but also, again, the escapability, the way to use your legs. Because Shador, he uses his legs, but he runs into sacks with his legs. It's not the best thing to do. It's definitely hurt his career so far. So maybe Justin Fields could teach him a thing or two about his legs and how to use them. And then, of course, I am a big fan of Ashton Jeanty. I think that he is a phenomenal football player. If the Bears get him, they just add another piece to an already young, talented team. At 18, with the Seahawks grabbing Jahad Campbell. Jahad Campbell's unbelievable. He really is. He is a super talented linebacker that we've had fall to 32 at times. That is awesome and can easily go in that top 15 even. And then, of course, way down the board, and a guy in James Pierce Jr. This is a guy that, again, if you can coach him, he's unbelievable. He really is. He's talented. He's a very, very fast technical edge rusher. Not that big. He's a smaller guy. So if he doesn't figure out how to be coachable and how to use his skills and his abilities, then we could see this being not so great of a pick. I do love that at 28 for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, and another thing I found really interesting was Matthew Golden and Egbuka both fell out of the first round in this one. I think that's really exciting for some of these early second round teams.
Yeah, if I'm a Tennessee Titans fan and Matthew Golden and Emeka Egbuka are available in that top three picks of the second round, I am ecstatic because we have not improved the receiver room at all in free agency, and those two guys could definitely still end up being there. It would be really, really nice. Thank you guys so much for joining us this week. We obviously had a ton of fun with this. Just me and Hoppy this week, making those picks back to back like we did just a couple weeks ago when I was back in for spring break. We are expecting to get some of the crew back maybe at some point. Not 100% sure when we'll get our guys back. We'll maybe move the filming day, some issues with when we film, so that could happen and we could have some people back. Also, want to say that the baseball content that we dropped last week, if you guys want to check it out, that is still posted up on both of our channels. Hoppy's channel is Hoppy 23, not 2345. We got that mixed up just a little bit last time. And then those are still posted up obviously on my channel as well if you want to go view them. We also will probably release some sort of baseball content sometime soon, not 100% sure when, but we want to talk about how the season has started out and how some of the guys are playing and maybe make a couple projections here and there with those guys. So look out for that. Not giving you a firm date because I don't know when. And then, of course, stay tuned and watch again for next week. We're going to post another one of these. These mocks will stay coming out. I'm going to go over to Hoppy. Hoppy, if you got anything you want to say.
Yeah, man, I just want to say I'm getting very excited for the NFL season to start, man. Looking forward to seeing how Bo Nix will come out there. I know my defense is going to come out strong with all these free agents bearing injury. I'm also very, very excited to see the Reds come out hot. We're 1-2 so far, but we're going to turn it around. Don't worry. If we don't, it'll be okay. Uh, Anyways, other than that, I'll just say Broncos country. Let's ride.
Yeah, great bit there. Of course, that will be an all-time meme that will never disappear from the internet in Russell Wilson. I want to mention quickly that your Reds are better than my Braves. This whopping 0-4 to start. It's been really ugly baseball. But again, the year we won the World Series in 2021, we started 0-4. So I don't know. Maybe we're repeating the recipe to win a World Series. Obviously, again, back talking football. It's been a ton of fun. We enjoy the mocks a lot. We wouldn't do it if we didn't. These are obviously a good experience. And again, thank you guys so much for watching and sticking around. If you've watched this far, leave it a like. You obviously like something about it. And then subscribe and keep up with us and follow along. I have gained subscribers a couple here recently, so that's cool. Getting a couple more here and there scattered in. And again, I thank you guys so much and peace.
Peace.